Thank you for joining us today as we review the inventory tool. On the call today, we have members of our DSP team. My name is Renee Razanowski, and also joining me is Keith Schubert, who will be both presenting on the inventory tool. And we also have Monica Satil, who will be monitoring the chat. We have a large number of participants on the call today, so everyone has been muted upon entry. If you have any questions during the presentation, please enter that into the chat box, which again is being monitored. Any questions that we are unable to answer today on this call, we will follow up with you via email. Again, this session is being recorded and it will be made available for you on ServiceNow, or if you are on the call today and you would like a copy, just please email dsp@naric.org and we will send that out to you. So today's presentation is on the inventory tool. To access the inventory tool, you're going to navigate to the Ric One DPS site, which you see on your screen now. This is the public side of the Ric One site. There are various resources here to help districts with EdLaw 2D and the Part 121 regulations. And also we have our recent COVID-19 resources that were sent out to districts last week. So you're going to log into the inventory tool, and when you do, this will be the screen that you will land on. Your login information provides you with access to the Ric One DPS Dashboard, which you're seeing here, and the inventory tool, which we will get into in a few minutes. All DPOs were signed up as district administrators, and you should have previously received an email with your login information. There was a recent deployment of a new build for the inventory tool that implemented a new password policy. If you haven't logged in for a while and are experiencing any type of issue with that login information, please email us at dsp@naric.org and we will reset your password. So we're just going to go over this part briefly. This is the Ric One DPS dashboard. We have, I'm going to start at the end, we have our digital blast. This is provided by Nassau BOCES, and this is breaking information on data privacy and security developments that are happening currently in the field. We have our digital debriefs. This is provided by Eastern Suffolk, and these are interviews with industry leaders. We have our digital digest. This is also provided by Nassau BOCES, and these are quarterly newsletters that take a more in-depth look at data privacy and security. All three, digital blasts, digital debriefs, and digital digests, are provided to DPOs through the Ric One listserv. If there are other members in your school district that you would like to receive the digital blasts, debriefs, or digests, please email us at DSP and we will sign them up for that listserv. We also have our professional development here. If you click here, there's some really great resources that are provided by GST BOCES that deal with digital citizenship. And there are some new PD resources that are being released very soon, again from GST BOCES, that will help meet that compliance portion of EdLaw 2D and the Part 121 regulations. And then we have our inventory tool. The inventory tool provides a district with a centralized location to manage their software inventory. So we are going to go into that. You're going to scroll down. We're going to click right here on Access. And this brings us to the inventory tool dashboard. So as I said before, the inventory tool is going to provide you with a centralized location to put all your software inventory for the district. And the end result is going to provide the district with a link to put on their website that will contain the supplemental information for their third-party vendors that the district has contracts with. So So up here in our dark blue section, we have our Bill of Rights. And this is that end result that you're going to be looking for. Keith will be going over how to add products to to your district inventory tool to create this page. But I just wanted to give you a quick look at that before he gets into that, and then we will review it again after Keith is all done. So Keith, I am going to turn it over to you, and you're going to go through entering products into the inventory tool.
All right, great. Thank you, Vernay. If you can't hear me, or if you can hear me, actually, just type me a quick note. Make sure that I am unmuted and everybody can hear me okay. All right, great. Thank you. So I'm going to jump over, like Vernay said, over to the inventory tool. And what I want to do is just, I'm going to briefly walk you through the process of how you would add a product to your district's inventory. So the first thing you would do is when you're on the screen here in the inventory tool and you see this great big long list of products, I'm going to go over here to the search bar on the right-hand side, and I'm just going to type in the name of the product I'm looking for. I'm going to use NutriKids as my example today, and I'll do a search. So I see I have one match. I also see down below request new product. So if I was unable to find the product I was looking for, I could request it to be added into the tool here. I'm going to show you that in a couple minutes, but first let me walk you through adding NutriKids to your inventory. So I click on NutriKids, and it just brings up some basic information that we have in the tool already, the name of the manufacturer and some other items. So as I look at this, I see this is the product I want. So I'm going to go over here onto the right, and I'm going to click on the button that says Add Product to District Inventory. I click on that, and now I have a series of questions. So keep in mind that the information here, if you don't know all of the answers at the time, you can still add this product to your inventory, and you can come back later and fill in some of the details. Okay, so the first question is contract source, and we have three options. Is it a district contract directly with the vendor? Is it a BOCES contract, or is it a free product that the district has entered into a contract with? I'm going to pick BOCES for my example, and if I like, I can put the contract expiration date, and I'm just going to pick something randomly. And I also have the option to mark if it renews annually. Down below, we have licensing information. This is not something that's required as far as EdLaw 2D goes. However, you may want to keep track of this information in one place instead of having multiple places to track your software. So if this is something that you want to track, you can enter that information here. Now we have product implementation date. So if you want to track that, you can enter the date that you started using the product. And if at some point you stop using the product, but you want to keep this information for historical purposes, you could put the termination date in here. Hosting location. This is something that's actually very important to know and to be aware of. And that is, where is this product at? Are you using it in the cloud, or is it hosted on site? Is it hosted at the RIC? Okay, so you pick which one is applicable. And we also have some categories: communications, operations, and student safety, academics, and services. Okay, so pick which one is applicable, and then your data categories: student data, teacher data, whatever applies for your given product. I'm just going to select student data for this right now. And then we're going to go down to interoperability, data in and data out. These are two free text fields where you could put in there information about system as far as its connection to other systems, right? So, we all have connections where, like, for example, our student information system, such as School Tool or eSchool Data, feeds information to our cafeteria system, NutriKids, and other systems, right? So you could put something in here like, School Tool, student, graphic data going into NutriKids, and then what's coming out of it to another source? Well, we send information to the data warehouse, level 0, for free and reduced price launch. Okay. Again, these are just examples, so use this as you see fit. Here you could add any additional notes. Now we have this data administrator section. So, most of you on the line here, you are probably set up as a district administrator. So as a district administrator, you can control everything in the program related to your district. But you may have some specific software programs that you want someone else to manage in the inventory tool. And if you have that situation, you can set up data administrators in the system, which Renee is going to show you here shortly. And once you have them set up, you could select them right here. Okay. And that would give them the ability to make edits and changes in this product. Now we come down to supporting documents. So here is where you can upload copies of your contract, parents' bill of rights, so on and so forth, right? So I'm going to say BOCES contract. I could rename it if I wanted to. And then I can just simply browse the file and upload it, and even put in a description if I so choose. Now, this product, as in my example, NutriKids, this product will show by default on the Bill of Rights section of the inventory tool. However, the supporting documentation that I'm uploading will not show by default unless I check that little box over on the left there, show in Bill of Rights. Okay, so once I have this document ready, I do save document. I can add more documents now if I need to. Once I'm all done adding documents, I say add to district inventory. Okay, and so very simply, I've added NutriKids now, and if I need to later on, if I need to go back and make some changes, I can easily go do. Now I want to show you, if I was to come in here and search for a product and it was unavailable. So I'm just going to type some.
Hey, Keith, can I interrupt you for a second? I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I'm kind of following the chat around pre-populating things from BOCES. The goal is to have it so that we can give you a link. Anybody who contracts with anything through Cap Region BOCES, a link to a place where all of our data assurance agreement, data privacy agreements will live. So where Keith showed you you could upload the contract, there's also a box for a URL. We'll give you that URL so that you can put it in there for all the products that you contract through Cap Region BOCES. And then the goal would be to have the link to the Erie One consortiums in there. If you contract through another BOCES for something, you would be able to get the link to their contract page. That's the goal, to have this ready to go for, we're hoping, July 1. Thanks, Keith.
Great.
Sorry about that.
Yep. Oh, no, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. So now, if you're in the tool here and you want to add a product and you do a search on it and it doesn't come up because nobody has ever loaded that product in here to start with, right? So what we have to do is we have to click on Request New Product. And that's going to bring us to a Google form where we're going to put in some information and send that on. And then the Ric One people that maintain this product, they will get that and add it in. So for example, it's going to say, what product are you interested in? And I'll just say test. It wants the URL so that they can look some information up about it when they load it. So I'm just going to copy their example and paste it in there. What company makes it? Since we use NutriKids, I'll type in Heartland. And to the best of your knowledge, what population uses this product? What population? Students, parents, employees? Well, employees use this product, but it contains student data, right? But this question is, who uses it? How is this app software site paid for? We have options of paid, free, open source, or unknown. And maybe at the time you're requesting this, you're not sure. So I'll just select unknown for now, and then select product type. So we saw this earlier in the tool where we select which type is applicable. Who is the contract with? Okay, district BOCES free, state contract or unknown, which it may be at the time that you set this up. And then I'm going to say next. It wants to know what region you are in, and I think everybody here on the call today is in the NARIC region, I hope. Your district's name, call it test, and then just your name and email address, phone number, and submit. And once you submit that, it was taking roughly 2 to 3 weeks for products to be added by the Ric One staff that maintained this. That was before we all started working from home, so I'm not quite sure on the timeline right now. But if you go in here and you start adding products and you don't see them added within a couple weeks, please let us know at dsp@naric.org and we can inquire for you. But ideally, what would happen is once the product is added, you will be getting an email stating which products they added for your district. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Renee.
Okay, Keith, and I am going to share my screen now. So Keith just went over adding our products to the inventory tool. And again, I'm on the main dashboard of the inventory tool. And as I showed in the beginning, in the dark blue spot here, if you click on Bill of Rights, this will display your supplemental information that you will be able to display on your district website. So up here, you're going to copy that link and you're going to paste it onto your website wherever you're going to have that information for your parents. So as you can see, as Keith went through this, here are the products that have been entered. You have the contract source, contract expiration date, if you did enter that in there. You have the vendor public privacy policy. So if you click on that eyeball, it will bring you right there. And then any of the other documents that you did upload for that particular piece of software, it will be displaying over here, whether it be BOCES contract, a vendor contract, an opt-in letter, that will all display for the parents to view. Some other housekeeping things that we might have, we have our district inventory. This is all the products that are currently in your district's inventory. As Keith mentioned earlier, your products that you add will automatically default to display on your Bill of Rights. If there is a piece of software that you entered in here that does not contain any PII information or any teacher principal information in there and you don't want it to display on your Bill of Rights, you would actually have to go in here and you would uncheck that box. And that will stop that piece of software from displaying on your parents on the supplemental information that you see on the Bill of Rights part. To change your password, you're going to want to go to the right-hand side here. Mine says Demo 2, yours will say your name. You'll click on that, click on My Account, and here's where you can go and change your password. Here are the new password requirements that were recently released. Everyone who signed up did get a generated password from us. And if you need your password reset, as we said earlier, we will send you with a temporary password. So you're going to want to go into the system and change that. To go back to the main screen, if you are at any tab, just click on your district data privacy. This will bring you back to the main dashboard of the inventory tool. I know Keith mentioned earlier, everybody in here as a DPO has been signed up as a district administrator. That gives you the ability to add products to the inventory tool. If there's somebody else in your district that you would also like to have that ability, just email us at dsp@naric.org and we will set that user up with district administrator rights. You, as a district administrator, can assign data administrators. Those individuals would only be allowed to change things on that particular product that they've been assigned to. So to do that, you would click on your data administrator here. You would add a data administrator, fill out this information here, save, and now that person will be a data administrator, and going forward, you would just assign them to the particular pieces of software you want them to administer. So that is our overview of our inventory tool. Again, any questions you have, if you need a password reset, if you need somebody signed up in your district to be a district administrator, if you have other individuals that you would like to be on the DSP listserv, just email dsp@naric.org and we will be able to do that for you. Before we go, I think we're going to pass this off to Monica and Mike if there's some things that you guys wanted to say before we end the call.
To reiterate, because I know some folks joined in after I chimed in, and what we're trying to do with this is for contracts that are held through a BOCES is to have each BOCES provide a link to a website where the documentation that you would need to post would live, so that you could just put that, we'll give you the URL, you put it in, and then it would just link to a page that has all of that information alphabetical by vendor or product. We haven't set it up yet, so that you don't have to go into those individual agreements and pull out the salient parts or post your own version of the contract. We want to make sure that all the BOCES contracts are in one place. And that is our plan at Cap Region. And I'm reasonably confident that the other BOCES will do something similar, where if you have a contract through Erie One, you would be able to get a URL from Erie One, or they would send you one that you would put in there, and then that would take you out to all the Erie One contracts. Monica, do you have anything to add?
I think I want to, just based on some of the questions I'm reading, I want to clarify a little bit about what the purpose of this tool is. This is not a vetting tool. This is to provide you, the regulations, I think it's regulation 121.3, says that you have to make the supplemental information available to your parents. So you have some choices. You can, build a website and put up, all your contracts. Build a website and just pick out your supplemental information and put it on there. There's different things that you can do. This tool was meant to be as like a framework to get your contracts from your BOCES, your individual contracts that you get through your district, and have one place to put them all that doesn't really require you to have web building skills or maintenance on your website. Yes, this link that is created by using this framework will then go on your website, and that would be the only thing that has to be maintained. But it's not for vetting. There's very few software out there for vetting because there's so much. There's, I want to say, in this tool itself, there's over 1,000 pieces of software. We initially did look at some software to do vetting, and it was very expensive, and nobody across the state felt that districts were going to be able to pay that amount of money.
And ultimately, just to kind of build on that a little bit, the compliance with the law happens at the district level with individual contracts. So those contracts that you have through BOCES, I mean, ultimately you are contracting through the BOCES with the vendor, but BOCES holds the contract, so that work gets done at the BOCES level in terms of making sure that it's compliant and providing the necessary parts of the contract so that it can comply with the law to be displayed publicly. So I think that's a really important thing to drive home, that ultimately it's compliance is on the individual district, and this inventory tool is a way for you to collect that information and have it in one place, and also to try to reduce duplication of effort with contracts that are held statewide or by individual BOCES.
Somebody had also asked, well, what about our teachers? This isn't meant to show your teachers. That's a whole different process. Now, hopefully you already have started working on, what is my procurement process in my district? Is it walk up to the hallway and stop me and say, I want this? I hope not, because that's really tough on a lot of tech directors. So hopefully you've been able to start working on or already have in place some sort of procurement process. This is not in place of that. This is not really to be even used with that. This is after your procurement is done. This is where you would put your artifacts to show your parents. Let me just double check and see if there's any questions in here that I missed. But I think they all had a lot to do with that very same thing. Sounds like your goal is by 7/1/20. Yeah, that is. So I'm hoping that is what's going to happen. Your email yesterday, we cannot say it's covered under BOCES for the products. What did your email mean yesterday? We cannot say it's covered. I'm not sure what you say with that, Kirsten. Yes. Is it true that certain vendors like Remind signed a contract with BOCES? Is this true? Yeah, there's quite a few. Anything that NARIC sells, we're making sure they're EdLaw 2D compliant through Michelle Jones' office. And those links will be made available through her office. But a lot of software is done through the Ric One BOCES, and they are currently right now going through the process. And I don't even know. There's a lot of them. It went out in that COVID-19 documentation. It looked to be, I didn't count them, but maybe at least 75 pieces of software. So if you do not recall seeing that, check that documentation that we sent out probably a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. It would be in there. It's called third-party contracts. And the software that's being vetted, for lack of a better word, or contracts, I should say, through Ric One is that list there. And eventually, we're going to be building a list. It makes sense, right? If we all start getting these contracts, well, that's how we build our list. But there is no one list of approved contracts because that's not the route that New York chose to go. Connecticut does that. If you're a district and you want software, you go to Connecticut's website and you pick software. New York chose not to do that. They chose to let the schools be independent. And here we are. So let me see if there's any other questions in here. If a district licensed then under that district does not have to take the contract approval to their respective BOA Board of Education. Is this true? I'm not an attorney, so I certainly would not want to say whether or not you have to have it approved by your board. I almost want to say you do. If you have to have, do you have to have contracts approved normally that you have with BOCES?
There's a process in place for that. So by virtue of signing up for services through BOCES, that is considered an agreement, so that it doesn't have to happen separately. So you have all those processes already in place, and the way that it currently flows will serve as the agreement between you and the BOCES, and then by extension the BOCES with the vendor.
Thanks, Mike. Eric asks if there is a contract template provided that we could use when contracting directly with a vendor. Yes, there is. Eric, I think it was sent out the other day by Mike Dowdy, but I'm not sure about that. But yes, there is.
That was the one, the data sharing agreement.
Yes.
And produced by our general counsel. So that went out to all the component cap region districts, but I think we can send it out more widely too, if you let Monica know.
Monica, this is Sylvie. Let me see if I can ask my convoluted question here. With regard to vendor public privacy policies, is that optional to put on the inventory tool as visible to families or parents, or do we have to do that? reason I'm asking is obviously you're saying that the BOCES and the RICs, they're going through and vetting and making sure that services that we purchase through them are, Ed Law 2D compliant. With that being said, you're going through and having these vendors sign off on the BOCES agreements and privacy policies. That may be different than their standard public privacy policy. So if we're linking to the standard public privacy policy as opposed to the ones that the districts or BOCES are signing up these vendors with, if there's language that's different in that public privacy policy, that's going to potentially cause some angst or issues potentially with parents and families saying, hey, their privacy policy says XYZ, but you said that it's, good.
Okay, so that's a great question. So let me clarify that a little bit. If you're going to link to their privacy policy, right? Okay, that's great. Saving you from cutting and copying, pasting. Okay, that's good. But you still, if you're not getting it through a RIC or BOCES, don't forget you have to have them sign your parents' Bill of Rights. So that's going to be your supplemental information that you want them to see. And yes, that's where you will put that information in the inventory tool. You can put in the public privacy policy, but why would you? Now you've just got two policies. When you can just put in your supplemental information, put that on a Word document, upload that, now you're done. And you don't have parents going through and saying, well, the privacy policy says this, but your supplemental information is something different. Well, yeah, it's true, but that's what they signed is what your supplemental information is. So that's the only thing that you need to show your parents.
More for the BOCES services, not necessarily the ones that districts sign up for. Obviously, we know that we're responsible for the ones that we do individually.
Okay, so you're saying that you want the public policy there as well as the BOCES?
No, I'm asking, is it prudent to put, like, for instance, obviously we subscribe to ServiceNow as part of our, NERIC offering, all of our commitments, or any thing for that matter, and the ServiceNow public privacy policy says one thing, but the agreement that BOCES signed with that vendor to provide certain assurances or protections or whatever says something different.
Yeah. So are you saying the ServiceNow public policy is listed in the inventory tool now?
I'm asking, should we,
right.
if it's,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Not necessarily to have both of them there, but right now we have not gotten those BOCES contracts online yet. The law just went into effect, and I have to say CRB's done a great job in getting ahead of the curve. We've been doing this for a lot of our major softwares for, I don't know, 2 years at least.
Right.
Michelle kind of made up her own language and just started making vendors sign it. So we're ahead of it. But it's a lot. And I know just hearing from other RICs around the region and BOCES, this is an ongoing thing, and they don't expect it to be a process in place for, at least a year or so. And there's not going to be anybody running out checking on July 1st to have all of your contracts in place. You just have to show that you're making an effort to get in that place.
Right. And the reason I ask, even related to those BOCES services, we may subscribe or purchase some, or BOCES or whoever may subscribe and purchase and use that product, but it's not just, some of the stuff is not just educationally geared, it's to the private sector also. So that's why I asked about that public privacy policy. It may not be prudent to put it on the inventory tool,
Yeah, I agree. Google, for example, you can't put the Google public policy up there because they have a completely different policy for Ric One. So yeah, it's a good point. Is there any other questions? I see some discussion going on over here. I love that. Nicole saying, Ken, our lawyer says still do it. And yes, Natalie, it is recorded. And James says, our lawyer agrees with Shen. Aaron, I don't think you answered my questions. Oh my gosh, Aaron, I'm sorry. Let me see what you've got up here. Way back up here. I got Paul, yes. Aaron, Eric, good question. Aaron, okay, so Aaron, you said, is that just Cap Region? What about NERIC and Questar? I said yes, NERIC, yes, Questar, I'm not sure. I would assume a link. Will this system show the applicants have been rejected so teachers can check that? I answered that. It's not for teachers. Aaron, I don't see anything else from you that I didn't answer. What did I miss? Oh, from Aaron. We hear you, but I think the districts need the most help from BOCES and RICs with vetting. No kidding. It would be nice if there was a service or some help that we could subscribe to for that. So yeah, you know, Aaron, I think I've sort of talked to you about that before in the past. You know, we're trying to figure out what that looks like, because what your process for procuring data or procuring software is going to be different than what Shen's process is going to be. So we're trying to figure out like the right business model to be able to present that in a way that's, you know, doable for districts, because as you know, it's a huge lift. And so we're not quite sure what that's going to look like, whether it's going to be like an hourly service or we're just not sure. So if anybody has some great ideas, I'm willing to listen.
I also asked, you said that there are some contracts that are compliant through you or Erie One right now, that you guys are compliant for you. Like, where can we see that?
Okay, so let's just take example like iReady, right? Is that a good example?
Yes, that, NutriKids, eSchool, and all those sort of things.
Yeah, so I don't think that those BOCES have put them up on their website yet. So we have talked about, at least for our own Cap Region BOCES, you know, my team put up the Google opt-in letters for all of you. As we got them back, we put them into your inventory tool for you, just to start the process, so you could either A, use the inventory tool and you've already got something there to start you, or B, that's at least where it is, so you can have it that you can then post onto your website. But Cap Region BOCES has yet to put out their contracts yet, and I don't know what that process is going to be.
And what about NERIC? Like, I don't buy from Cap Region BOCES, I buy from NERIC and from Questar. So I'll talk to Questar on the side, but what about what I buy straight from the RIC?
Well, I'll take that one. NERIC doesn't actually hold contracts. They all go through the BOCES. Like, there's no separate NERIC board, and you need a board in order to enter into a contract with somebody, and that board is Cap Region. So you're all set.
Anyway, you get my point.
Yeah.
So where are they? That's my question.
They're not up yet. We're still working on it. So we have some internal things to do to make sure that we get the rest of them lined up and compliant, and then we'll start to put them on the website. But once we have them up there, we'll get everybody the link.
So they'll be on this website, or where are they going to be that we can, like, where's my eSchool contract going to be?
It'll be on a page on the Cap Region BOCES website, and we will give you the link to it so that you'll be able to put the link in the inventory tool.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
I hear what you're saying, Erin, and I'm, you know, that's the answer that we're going to commit to. But you know, we've been talking internally what it would look like to have some of our, you know, our, like, we'll say eSchool data, for example. You know, what would that look like to have that put in the inventory tool for you? You know, is that a day for us to do it for all the districts? Maybe. So we hear what you're saying, and we're gonna try to work with you too, because I know it's a big lift. Any other questions while you have us? Let's see if I missed anything. Ken said vetting was previously on this tool. The various parts of 2D compliance were marked or met. Yeah, it was. That's a big liability and a big risk. And it was frankly hard to keep up with, because we had literally hundreds coming in daily. This is a tool that's used across the state. The council is making this process very confusing.
It goes back to the idea that compliance is at the district level with individual contracts. And even though we can do that through the BOCES, ultimately, this can't be a site where the BOCES or any other entity blesses things as being because compliance happens at the contract level.
Right, you're still going to have to, you know, unless we get all of your, if you get all of your contracts to the BOCES, okay, fine, you don't have much to do. Put up a couple of links, big deal. But if you're getting a lot of software outside of the BOCES, and I know some of you are, you're still going to have to go through that process of having them sign your supplemental information and looking at their privacy, their privacy and security policy. There's just no way that it can be done any other way because the way the law is written. How is the state not making the process? I know, Nicole. I wish I could talk to somebody at the state. But you know what? This was written way back when, in 2014, by legislators. So it would literally take somebody to bring it to the state, have them rewrite the law.
That's not going to happen, and everybody will tell you that that's a fundamental flaw in the law, that it puts the onus on a district to verify a vendor's compliance with the law. So, but unfortunately, that is the way it is, and the regulations have to mirror the law. So there's nothing we can do. I think we're really trying to make the best of a fundamentally flawed law that was a knee-jerk reaction to In Bloom in 2014. So we can speculate all we want about why the state will and won't do certain things, but at the end of the day, we get to follow the law and the regulations.
Handy list of what software is offered at every BOCES. Not yet. I got kind of an informal list that I got from instruction people. I've been hesitant to hand out any sort of list that Pepperidge and BOCES or NARIC offers until we have it in place that here's the list. Oh, and by the way, here's the contract too. So I'm just been hesitant to kind of, hand out a list until it's complete. Second, Nicole's comment. I know. Why wouldn't the state allow one contract for all schools? I know. And the law applies equally to all schools, yes, but you can help. Would love some residual assistance. I know. We can still handle at district level, but starting with the BOCES would be nice. I would agree, Erin. Okay. Any other comments? Questions? So I'm just going to do another shameless plug. They went through the inventory in the very beginning, and then we had all these questions. So if you do decide that this is what I'm going to use, because it's free for you to use, it's part of your service. So you might as well use it instead of going out and building a website and doing all of that. You might as well use it. And you're like, okay, yeah, but I got all caught up in the questions, Monica, and I do not remember how to use the tool. Don't hesitate to reach out to us, Keith, myself, Renee. We'll help you. We'll walk you through it. Most of you already have accounts. If you don't, reach out for those accounts. We'll get you set up. One of the things that I do talk about is, you get a district admin, share it. Have a couple people who can put stuff into the inventory tool. It doesn't have to just be one. Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to say goodbye. I want to thank Renee and Keith for showing us the tool. Mike, thank you so much for jumping on, as usual. So thanks to everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.